Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is Zach, and this is the kitchen and bathroom remodel that we've been working on. And today is going to be doing some trim work. So we have the crown molding and the fascia of the cabinetry that needs to get installed. And then around the windows, both windows here in the kitchen, we'll be installing the trim around that. And the goal is to do these things first on this wall so that the tile guys can do the backsplash. Because if we get everything to a point where the tile guys can get the backsplash done, they can be 100% done. And at that point, I'll be able to bring electricians in. I can get appliances installed. And the trim work can kind of work around those things, and the process can, or the project can keep moving forward. And that's one goal as a general contractor, is to always try to keep the project moving forward. You never really want to have a standstill, because you'll start getting the homeowner to ask questions. The length of the schedule is going to expand, and that costs more money for everybody. And so you're always trying to rein that schedule in. And the best way to do that is to just continuously figure out a way to keep the project moving forward. And sometimes you can't move the project forward unless you accomplish certain steps. And so one of the really big steps, excuse me, for today is to get this wall prepped and ready for the tile to get done. Because so much more stuff can get done as soon as I finish this tile work. And it's basically just getting held up by me because I'm actually doing the trim work myself. And so it's really on my plate to just get this done. Hey guys, just want to take you through the project here. I did already get the fascia up on this one board here. And you can see there's a little soffit. Don't mind the gaps on the top or on the back there. That's going to be tile back there. And there's going to be a crown molding up there. So we don't waste our time. We get it in and allow people to keep moving forward. Just wanted to take you in and look at my setup. It's very tight in here. You can see, here's the saw. I can just have the trim coming into the kitchen here. There's not a lot of room to work. Here's the appliances. I have them protected with some plastic, but you can see how tight this is. And here's just my whole wall of trim. So we're using poplar. All this unprimed wood here is poplar, and it is the best for paint grade trim, because as you can see, it really doesn't have a lot of knots in it. Like of course, right in the front is one right there. But as you can see, there's really not a lot of knots in this wood. Very minimal. Sometimes you can work around them too with how you cut, if you're methodical about it. And the grain on this stuff is not prominent at all. So when you sand it, it smooths right out and doesn't show through your paint finish. So it's a super great product. I advocate for everybody who's going to be doing trim work that's paint grade to go with poplar. It's a little bit more expensive, but you are going to get such a better finished product than using pine, because pine has so many knots in it, and it's also notorious for twisting and bending with the weather change or the temperature changes. We're actually doing a wainscoting. And she wanted something like a beadboard, and my local supplier has this stuff. It's cedar, and it's actually V-groove. You can see here, it's just like a chamfer on the edge. And when you put the two chamfers together, if I can show you here, hold on, try to do with one hand. It's not going to go together for me, but you can kind of see, if I could get that in there, that it creates like a V right there. And so it looks like, that's why they call it V groove. It looks like a V. we're going to be doing that on this entire wall here. So from that door opening there, the casing, it's going to run all the way into that corner, and then it's going to come all the way here to this door. And it'll have a chair rail on the top. So it'll have a rail on the whole top, and then I'm actually doing built-in bench seating right here with a top that opens up so she can store stuff in there. So that's going to be a good product. I wasn't super happy about having to use cedar, but it's really all they had at my supplier, and it's gonna sand out nicely. So we'll sand it, they'll prime it, and they'll 2-coat paint it, and it'll look great. And cedar's good too because it's just it's long lasting. It's a soft wood, so with having people sit against this, there is always the concern of like bumping it and damaging it. But as you can see, there's really not a lot of knots in cedar either. So it's nice to work with. But that's what we got going on today. I'll try to show you my process of trim work and how I approach it, and some measures that I use to extend the life of trim, because I'm sure all of you watching have seen how trim, you can tell a really good trim job from a bad trim job, and all the pieces may be cut the exact same on both two jobs, but it's how you fasten and attach the trim to each other that really extends the life, and how you sand and you finish the trim. If you really take your time and really put some effort towards the finished product, it goes leaps and bounds. So I'll show you some of the things that I do to try to make that happen. All right, guys, just wanted to show you kind of a little insight on doing some of this fascia, or just doing a miter in general. Is you want to obviously always use glue to join the two pieces, but there's also a couple things that can make it a little bit easier for you to join this together. And so we'll have these two pieces look like this. This will connect here and just look like that basically, and all that glue will join it together. But then they also make some tools like this that you can it'll pinch the miter together. So I'll show you once that's pinched together. So as you can see, this is how these clamps work. I don't have anything nailed. They just pinch it together. And you can see I can pick it up and grab it, and it's all one piece without having any nails in it. So these clips are really great for if you're looking to do some trim carpentry. I bought this pack here, like off of Amazon or something. It was like 25 bucks, and you get like so many of them. It really is a nice tool to have in the arsenal. It makes life a lot easier. All right, here we go. So I've got the trim started, and you can see this is our sill, and this is what we call the horn of the sill. And you have to extend the horn far enough so that the casing will sit on it nicely, and you'll also have the casing end somewhere before the end of the horn. You can see there's like a round over on this, so we rounded over the edge, and so you at least want the casing to be at the edge there. I'm matching the rest of the house, so my casing is going to be somewhere around here, or maybe even here, 7/8. But these are the jamb extensions, and it was kind of a challenge on this window because I'm running into the same exact issue that the tile guys ran into in the bathroom, is that all these windows are not they're not level with each other, and they're not in level individually either. So you can see here on this window, I have a gap there, and it goes to no gap there. And it's like this all over the place. Like, even look at the reveal right there between this edge and the board. All right, and here is what it looks like when you biscuit it in person. So we got the glue in there, and you come back and you give it a little sand. Sometimes the boards are just a hair different thickness, so we come back and sand over that, and the biscuit should prevent it from going in and out. So that's why we do it. Adds a lot of benefit to it. But something else that I want to show you all is some more of the prep work involved in putting the trim on. Is something like this. Like, here's a cutoff with poplar, and see, sometimes you'll get a split. You just got to try to plan to cut that off. But if you look closely, look at all that. So these are marks from a planer. When they plane the boards down to whatever thickness they're going to sell them at, this is 3/4, you can see all those marks. And so before you install stuff, you've got to sand it, which a lot of people skip this step, but look at the difference between those two boards. You can see those planer marks, and I don't have those planer marks. And you'll, even in the dark, let's say I had the, let me lean this up. Look at that board. From back here in the dark, you can't really tell the difference. But once the electricians come in and put their lights in, everything's nice and bright in here. And even after this trim is painted, primed, and top coated, you'll still see these planer marks. When the light shines, you'll see like shadow lines of these planer marks. And that's something that you can tell from a good trim job or a bad one, is a lot of the times you'll see those chatter marks.